What's up, Thamsters? How's everybody doing today, YouTube? Today we're going to be talking a little bit about braking. I've had some questions. A good man named Paul, boy, I'm still a little cold, backfiring. Good man named Paul, he was in an accident a while ago. He, I think from what he explained he was doing, I think somebody pulled out in front of him and he got hard on his front brake, and I think it locked up and maybe slid out from under him. I'm not entirely sure, but Paul, all of our blessings are with you. We're glad you're okay from that accident. For those who don't know, I lost my dad on a bike, and lost him when I was a little kid, so safety and understanding what's going on is always a good thing. And I don't know if my insight's going to be any better than anyone else's insight, but at least it's my insight, and I can tell y'all what I know. There's a lot of things and theories of stuff, and you'll hear people say, oh, the front end, you know, you want to do 70% on your front and 30% on your back brake, and you'll hear people say, oh no, you got to do 50-50 on the front, and you know, 50% on the front, 50% on the back. And I think all those numbers are good and stuff, but we're not going to talk about numbers. We're going to talk about just some common sense. Let's say somebody pulls out in front of you. Now, I've had plenty of times where I would lock my back wheel up before I would even hit my front brake, and I would lose, and I would just slide. Thing is, if you lock your back wheel up and you're braking and your back wheel starts to slide out from you, if it starts to go to one side or another, that is not the best time to let off of that brake very quickly. Most of the time, if your back brake locks up, you'll want to apply steady pressure on your front brake so that it can start shifting the weight of the bike forward. Because what happens when you go into braking, like say somebody pulls out in front of me and I have to brake real quick. I usually start off with applying, you never want to just grab and squeeze anything. You always want to have a nice consistent pressure whenever you do this. You'll hear people say they use the 2 fingers. Me, I ride a Harley Sportster right now, so you know, 2 fingers are okay, that'll work. But Harley Sportster brakes, even though they are disc and everything in the front, and they stop really good, I can do an endo. I don't have ABS brakes or anything. You never just want to squeeze anything quickly and tightly on a motorcycle, because your tires will grip, and your front tire will grip, and your back tire will grip, but they will only grip until a point until that threshold is broken. Let's say I need to come in and take a turn on this corner. I'm applying my back brake, I'm slowly squeezing in on my front brake. I apply the back brake just enough to feel it start to grip in. And then I start to apply my front brake. And I'll feel the bike shift forward when I do that. If you ever lock your back brake up, don't ever let it go halfway through. If it starts to slide out to the left or the right, you're going to want to control that with your front brake until you can get that back in line so you can release it. Because what will happen is it's like you have 2 effects here on braking. You have one effect where, of course, you got your weight distribution, and everything's going to affect, like when you slow your bike down, the rake from your forks are going to come in. It's going to shorten that trail, and it's going to change your steering. That's if you're braking in a corner. I recommend for new riders that you do not start trail braking. Trail braking can be tricky, and if you get on it too much, then that front tire will go right out from underneath you. Trail braking is something that takes practice. Even old riders sometimes, they get reliant on that front brake too much, because you're always told when you go to like classes and all these things, you're told that something like 80% or 70% of, or up to 90% of all stopping power can be done on the front wheel. Well, that is true. 90% of stopping power can be done on the front wheel. But the problem with that is, when you get up to that 90%, you're pushing the threshold. And once that threshold breaks and your tire starts to slide across the pavement and it breaks that traction, it is literally going to just turn into a piece of ice. And that's where all your control is. That's why trail braking, trying to brake with your front tire going around a corner to get the bike to slow down and just shift its weight, can be tricky. You know what? I don't even want to go that way. I'm going to go this way just so I don't have to stop moving, because it is so hot. Paint bubbling, leather splitting, ass melting, skin burning hot day in Texas. So basically, the reason why your front brake has so much of the stopping power is because when you slow down, that weight shifts towards the front. And when it shifts towards the front, it puts pressure down on this front tire. And everybody knows the more weight you got on a tire, the quicker it's going to stop, the more traction it's going to have. That's why you get all your stopping power from the front wheels, just because the dynamics of the motorcycle. As it leans forward, all the weight is going to shift into that front wheel. And when it does that, that's where all your traction is. Now, you just don't want to break that traction. That's why, you know, trail braking, y'all can look up some videos on trail braking, they'll give you more insight on it. Back braking, that works, but you ain't going to be able to stop on a back brake, because the more you start to stop, the faster you slow down, the more weight goes towards the front, and it actually makes the back less traction, because all the weight's on the front. So your back's going to lock up a lot easier because all your weight's being thrown to the front. And that's simply the reason why that they say all your braking power comes from the front wheel, because it does. You know, that's where most of your weight will go when you're slowing down. They always say you should slow down before you go into a corner, and then when you hit the apex, you accelerate out of it. Well, that's great, but what about when you're in a blind corner? What about when you can't see that outlet? You can't see the end of that corner, and you make it to the apex, and you start to accelerate out, and then that corner is sharper than you thought it was. Well, then you end up having a couple choices. You can either lean further. We'll have to do a video on lean angles too, because I've had some questions on that, but I didn't get a chance to make a video on lean angles. But you have a choice. You either lean more, or you slow down and change the direction of your bike. Let's go ahead and just do a little. This is all back brake. Yeah, see, that didn't do very good, did it? That took me a while, and I was just pushing it, keep it from locked up. Somebody did a burnout back there. Alright, do about the same speed. I'm going up about 35-40 miles an hour. Let's just all do front brake. See how it shifts forward? Much tighter, much shorter distance. Now let's go ahead and do it one more time. We get up to about 35-40 miles an hour, and let's do both brakes. Ah, yeah, see, I was locking that back up. I'm sure, I don't know if you can hear that squealing, but I was locking the back up, and I was kind of pulsating it every time I hear beep, 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 every time I could feel that thing lock up, I would just release it slightly, and I kept a nice firm pressure on my front. Maybe I can do some trail braking around these corners in the subdivision. Like right now, I'm going to trail brake. I'm going a little fast. I'm hitting that front end, and it shifted my bike. I don't know if you guys could tell that or not, but basically what I just did there was I got into that corner and I was going a little too fast, to where it's like, oh, it gives you that, uh-oh, I'm going too fast, you know, that one little instant feeling. You're like, oh shit. Well, well, you get into that, and then all you do is just apply enough pressure to shift the bike, and it'll shift a little bit forward, and that's your sweet spot. Once you feel it shifting, well, the rest is on you on how much you wish to push that. If you push it too far, you can lock it up and you can go down, because it'll turn into a sheet of ice out of nowhere, even on a hot day like today. Today it's burning up out here. I don't even want to stop moving, it's so hot. I can feel the heat on my engine, like I might have a brown spot on my jeans where they're burning. So whatever you do, guys, remember one thing: don't lock this shit up. And if you do lock it up, only lock up the back. The back, okay, that's one thing. But the front, that's a dangerous thing right there. And you have to remember, there's kind of some things that people don't think about either. You have to realize, when you're in a corner, if you slow down in a corner and then you try and speed out of it, well, the more gas, the more you accelerate a motorcycle, the more it's going to want to go straight. Like as I accelerate out of a corner, my bike's going to want to straighten up. Where if I slow down, it's going to want to curve inward. You know, I'm going to trail brake this right here. I'm braking on the front right now. And as I hit that brake, it just kind of swooped right in there. But you got to use the right amount of pressure. You can't use too much pressure. You can't just grab it and lock it up. Some people have anti-lock brake systems which help in that account, but I don't have that. All I have is just my old 98 here that I ride, and she does good. I might have some flat spots on that tire from braking sometimes, because I've locked it up a few times, guys. That's what I got. I hope it helps you, Paul. Hope it helps anyone out there. It's just my insight of what I know. I ain't no expert, but I've been riding my whole life. I hope it helps somebody out there. So remember, guys, in life, always do the best you can. If you put your mind to it, you can do anything. Try and fail, but never fail to try. You guys have a good one. I'm out.